I thought I knew my husband. We had been married for 7 years. He never raised his voice, never missed an anniversary, and always seemed perfect. But one night, while searching for an old photo on his laptop, I found a folder hidden deep inside his files. What I discovered there changed everything I believed about my marriage. And by the end of this story, you'll understand why I walked away without saying goodbye. That I thought my husband was the safest person in my life. For 7 years, I believed I knew everything about him. He was kind, patient, and always seemed to know exactly what to say when I was upset. My friends called him the perfect husband. My family trusted him completely. And honestly, so did I. Looking back now, I realized there were signs. Small signs. The kind of signs you ignore because they don't seem important at the time. It started with little things. Sometimes he would finish my sentences before I spoke. Sometimes he would buy me gifts I had never mentioned wanting. Sometimes he seemed to know what I was thinking before I said a word. I used to think it was romantic. I thought it meant he understood me better than anyone else. I was wrong. One rainy Thursday evening, everything changed. My husband was away on a business trip. The house was quiet except for the sound of rain tapping against the windows. I was looking for an old vacation photo. My laptop battery had died, so I decided to use his computer. I had used it before. There was nothing unusual about it. I opened the photo folder and started searching. Then I noticed something strange. A folder with no name. Just a small gray icon hidden between dozens of ordinary files. I clicked on it. Nothing happened. The folder appeared empty. I almost closed it. Then I noticed a tiny setting that showed hidden files. Curious, I clicked it. Suddenly dozens of files appeared. My stomach tightened. Every file had my name on it. Every single one. Some were dated years ago. Before our engagement. Before he proposed. Before we were even living together. My hands started shaking. I opened the first document. Inside were pages of notes. Notes about me. Detailed notes. My favorite foods. My fears. My childhood memories. Arguments I had with friends. Things I had told him in confidence. Things I had never told anyone else. The notes were organized by date. Like a research project. Like someone studying a subject. Like someone collecting information. I felt a chill run down my spine. Maybe it was innocent, I told myself. Maybe he was planning a book. Maybe there was some explanation. Then I opened another file. And another. And another. Each one made me feel worse. There were screenshots of old social media posts. Photos I had deleted years ago. Conversations I barely remembered having. Personal details I had forgotten myself. The deeper I looked, the more frightened I became. This wasn't normal. This wasn't love. This was obsession. Then I found a folder called Phase 3. I stared at the screen. Phase 3? What did that even mean? My heart pounded as I clicked it. Inside were documents describing changes in my behavior. The way I dressed. The people I spent time with. The hobbies I had stopped doing. The decisions I had made. And beside each note was something even more disturbing. Predictions. Predictions that had come true. I felt sick. It looked as if someone had been guiding my choices for years. Someone had been pushing events in certain directions. Someone had been influencing my life without me realizing it. And that someone was my husband. I pushed my chair back and stood up. The room suddenly felt too small. I couldn't breathe. The rain outside had become heavier. Thunder shook the windows. For the first time in 7 years, I felt afraid of the man I had married. I wanted to close the computer. I wanted to forget everything. But I couldn't. Because at the bottom of the folder was a final document. A document with tomorrow's date. And when I opened it, I discovered something that made my blood run cold. My hands trembled as I opened the document. At first, I thought I was reading the wrong file. The title at the top said, "Expected outcome, Friday. Tomorrow." My eyes moved slowly across the page. There was a schedule. A detailed schedule. My schedule. 8 a.m., wake up. 9:15 a.m., coffee at the corner cafe. 11 a.m., call from Sarah. 2:30 p.m., visit mother's house. 6 p.m., emotional discussion. 8 p.m., agreement reached. I froze. How could he know what I was going to do tomorrow? Then I noticed another section. Probability, 93%. Alternative reaction, 7%. My heart started racing. It looked less like a personal journal and more like a scientific report. I scrolled further. There were notes underneath. If Sarah mentions the promotion, subject will become insecure. If mother repeats financial concerns, subject will seek reassurance. If reassurance is provided, emotional dependence will increase. Subject. He called me subject. Not wife. Not partner. Subject. I slammed the laptop shut. The sound echoed through the empty house. For several seconds, I stood there staring at the wall. I wanted to believe there was an explanation. A misunderstanding. A joke. Anything. But deep down, I knew there wasn't. No normal husband spends years documenting his wife's behavior. No normal husband creates prediction models about her emotions. No normal husband refers to her as a subject. I grabbed my phone. My first instinct was to call him. Demand answers. Scream at him. But something stopped me. If he had been studying me for years, then he already knew how I would react. Calling him immediately was exactly what he would expect. For the first time, I decided not to follow his script. Instead, I reopened the laptop. I needed to know everything. The next folder was called Influence. A terrible feeling settled in my stomach. I clicked it. Inside were hundreds of documents. Many were years old. The first file was dated 3 months before our engagement. I opened it. And my entire body went cold. The document described how he planned to become the most important person in my life. Step by step. He had listed every friend he considered a threat. Every person who might influence me more than him. Then he had written strategies beside their names. Not harmful strategies. Subtle ones. Convincing me certain friendships were unhealthy. Encouraging distance. Creating small misunderstandings. Suggesting alternative plans whenever I wanted to meet them. At first, it sounded ridiculous. Then memories started returning. Friends I slowly stopped talking to. People who disappeared from my life. Arguments that seemed to come out of nowhere. Coincidences that suddenly didn't feel like coincidences. My chest tightened. I opened another file. This one was about my career. Again, there were predictions. Again, there were plans. He had influenced major decisions I believed were my own. Job opportunities. Applications. Even the city we moved to after marriage. Every major turning point seemed to appear somewhere in his files. I felt like my entire life was unraveling. Had I ever made a decision for myself? Or had every path been quietly shaped by someone standing behind the curtain? Hours passed. The rain outside finally stopped. Darkness filled the house. But I kept reading. Then I found something unexpected. A folder labeled Failure. Unlike the others, this folder contained only a few documents. Curious, I opened it. Inside were records of mistakes. Moments when his predictions were wrong. Moments when he lost control. One document immediately caught my attention. Date, 2 years ago. The description read, Unexpected resistance. Resistance? I opened it. The event described an argument we had after I insisted on visiting an old college friend. He had predicted I would cancel the trip. Instead, I went anyway. According to the document, he considered it a failure. A disruption in the model. I stared at the screen. A strange realization hit me. He wasn't perfect. His system wasn't perfect. He could be beaten. And for the first time since finding the folder, I felt something other than fear. I felt anger. Real anger. Not the kind that makes you cry. The kind that makes you think clearly. The kind that makes you plan. I wasn't going to confront him. Not yet. I wasn't going to tell anyone. Not yet. Because if he had spent years studying me, then I needed time to study him. I pulled out a notebook. For the next 3 hours, I copied everything important. Dates. Names. Predictions. Plans. Patterns. By midnight, I had 20 pages of notes. And one terrifying conclusion. This wasn't just about me. Several files mentioned other people. My mother. My friends. My coworkers. Even Sarah. The same Sarah who was supposedly going to call me tomorrow. A thought suddenly crossed my mind. What if she wasn't calling by coincidence? What if he had arranged that too? I picked up my phone and opened our messages. Then I noticed something that made my blood run cold. A new message had arrived 5 minutes earlier. From Sarah. Hey, can I call you tomorrow morning? I need to tell you something important. Exactly as the document predicted. And at that moment, I realized the truth was even bigger than I thought. My husband wasn't just watching me. He was still controlling the game. And somehow, he already seemed to be several moves ahead. I barely slept that night. Every sound in the house made me jump. Every creak of the floorboards felt threatening. And every time I closed my eyes, I saw the word that kept appearing in those documents. Subject. Not wife. Subject. At exactly 9:13 the next morning, my phone rang. Sarah. My pulse quickened. The document had predicted the call at 9:15. It was only 2 minutes off. I stared at the screen for a moment before answering. Hello? Sarah sounded nervous. Hey, are you busy? No. There was a pause. Then she said something strange. "Can we meet in person?" My stomach tightened. What is this about? Another pause. I don't think I should say it over the phone. That was enough. An hour later, I was sitting across from her in a quiet coffee shop. Sarah looked exhausted. She kept checking the windows, the door, the people around us, like she was afraid someone might be listening. Finally, she leaned forward. "I need to ask you something." "What?" "How much do you know about your husband?" The question hit me like a punch. I forced myself to stay calm. "What do you mean?" Sarah hesitated. Then she reached into her purse and placed a photograph on the table. The moment I saw it, my heart stopped. The picture was old. At least 10 years old. And standing beside my husband was Sarah. Much younger. Smiling. My mind raced. I looked up. "What is this?" Sarah swallowed. "I was hoping you could tell me." For several seconds neither of us spoke. Then she continued. "We worked together years ago." My stomach dropped. "Worked together?" She nodded. "Before he met you." I stared at the photo. There was something unsettling about it. Not because they knew each other, but because he had never mentioned her. Not once. In 7 years. "Why are you showing me this now?" Sarah looked away. Then she said the words that changed everything. "Because I found my name in one of his files." My blood ran cold. "What?" She opened her phone. A photograph appeared on the screen. A screenshot. A screenshot of a document. A document I recognized immediately. The formatting. The dates. The style. It came from the hidden folder. And there, near the top of the page, was Sarah's name. Along with detailed notes. Detailed observations. Predictions. Behavior patterns. Just like mine. My hands started shaking. "How did you get this?" Sarah looked terrified. "Because I'm not the only one." "What?" "There are others." The noise of the coffee shop faded around me. Others. I suddenly remembered all the names I'd seen inside the files. Coworkers. Friends. Family members. People connected to me. Connected to him. Connected to both of us. Sarah leaned closer. "I think he's been doing this for years." My throat felt dry. "Doing what exactly?" "I don't know." For the first time, her voice cracked. "But whatever it is, it isn't normal." I believed her. Because I had seen enough to know she was right. Then she told me something even worse. 3 weeks earlier, she had received an anonymous email. The email contained a single attachment. One screenshot. The screenshot showed her name inside a document labeled Influence Profile. At first she thought it was fake. Then she remembered something. Something she hadn't thought about in years.